Yeah. Yes. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off there, brother.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm hearing something in the background now. I thought I was anyway. Maybe not. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Clobberin time. Issue number 22, aka 722. At our new home on YouTube, our blanking new. I'm having a big problem with a tech issue again, like I did the other day, but I think all right. All right. Welcome, everyone. That's all I got to say. Let's just keep it short and sweet and say thank you for being here. Those who are, big shout out to the great Stone Loki of Loki's Mornings of Mischief for that great intro he made for me. I'm just so honored that he did that for me. I really appreciate it. And Eastland Burkholder, thank you for being here. A big shout out to Problem Being, the great Problem Being, I should say, for being with me the other day, Thursday, for my Blake 7 show. I really appreciate it. Had a great time after a rocky start. I had some technical issues there for a little while, and Minimus jumped in for a bit. Problem Being when he made it in, and I had a great time talking to him, and I want to thank everyone who was here with me for that. Tonight, we will be talking about, well, an 86-year-old institution. Next Saturday night, of course, we'll talk about another institution. It'll be the history of Star Trek comics. Minimus and I will be looking at the whole run, all of it. There are a lot of Star Trek comics, my friends. So thank you, everyone. And we've got a lot of other topics planned, possibly before that. Is there something in the background there? Is anyone hearing any background?
It's probably my end.
Okay, I got you. I just want to make sure. Anyway, but where were I tonight?
Yeah, I think my mic was picking up the front of the house. Probably my kid just walked in, so sorry about that.
No problem, brother. No problem at all. I want to say thank you again for those who are here, and thank the great Mark C, as he is well known, the legendary Mark C. You're a legend. You're a legend on YouTube, man. For being here with me tonight. We're going to talk about, like I said, an 86-year-old institution. He's called Flash Gordon, once a household name. I guess not so much anymore, but and when he is thought of amongst most people because of pop culture being the way it is. A 40-year-old film is what most people think of. Then they say the words and make me want to kill them. Murder them dead. Origin of that kind. Look, I love the Queen soundtrack. But a little aside on that, why it bothers. Every time anyone now says Flash, you know what? Okay. Again, stupid pet peeve, I admit it. But, Mark, I was at a con. A Dragon Con a good number of years ago. My fantastic retro blasting buddies Michael and Melinda were doing a panel at Dragon Con about Flash Gordon, which was they did a remarkable job with it. There was someone there, by the way, with an incredible Ming the Merciless costume. It was perfect movie, just like from the movie. Fantastic. Well, there's just one little problem. There were these these geeks up on the front row. All right. Every time Michael would say Flash, before he could say Flash Gordon, these idiots thought they were fucking funny and kept saying, Well, the first 400 times, you might think that gets a little bit, at least after the first 5,000 times, you're probably done with it. You probably said, okay, we get it. It's funny. No, it's not. And now it's like, oh, God, you can't, there's certain idiots you can't say it around. Again, I love the film and I love the soundtrack, but Mark can get away with it tonight because I can't reach him. Yeah, but anyone else does it out there, I'll find you. And I will find you. And I will kill you. No. But anyway, just kidding. Just a little aside there. But again, it is a wonderful soundtrack. No question about that. Eastland, thank you. I love the Blake 7 show and looked up at the put up Blake 7 being told it was back up. Yes, they have put some back up there on YouTube. The whole thing was on there for a while, all of them. And they keep popping in and out. It's BBC taking them off because they have put them on BritBox UK, not here, of course. There's not even an American Region 1 DVD release, and they're probably never fucking rolling.
Well, it's funny. It's funny while we're on the topic of this. I was trying to do a little shopping the other day on Amazon, and using my phone instead of a computer. And normally, you just go to regular Amazon.com to find whatever it is. But every now and then, you want to say, I wonder what I could find over in Amazon UK.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you'll find some various different box art or whatever from a phone that recognizes your phone number as it's as an area code within the United States. It will not let me go to Amazon UK. I cannot get there. Every time I try to go to Amazon UK,
Weird.
it redirects me back to Amazon.com.
Strange. On a less relevant side note, I got a call yesterday from some New Orleans number I didn't recognize. You know what it told me to do? I see that you are safe at your home. Please, you better stay home. It told me to stay home, and it hung up. Well, what the hell are you talking about? What, are you not even selling anything? Stay home? Is this some kind of paranoid coof message? Beer bug message? What the fuck?
I was on eBay and found a really cool drafting table. I lost mine in the flood back in 2016. I haven't had a drafting table since. And I found a really nice one from, was it 1939? It looks like it's in really good shape. I mean, it's an eBay purchase, so you don't really know. But it's up in Waterford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Had it listed not 2 or 3 weeks earlier, I could have just went over there and picked it up because I was there. But he wants $300 for the table, and I'm like, well, that's a really good price for the table, but how much is it going to cost for me to get it here? So I go on FedEx Freight and look up what, try to figure about the approximate what the charges are going to be to ship something. And it's like, all right, well, it'd probably be about 80 pounds and maybe 100 tops. And so, and it's going to, figure the dimensions. And it was going to wind up costing like $240 to ship it. And I'm like, I'm not spending that on that. Wow. I'll just get another one. Yeah.
Damn.
Well, I mean, you got to put it on the pallet, you got to shrink wrap it and all that other stuff. And 24 hours later, my phone starts blowing up with a number out of Florida. And I was like, I don't know anybody in Florida that's calling me now, so I don't even answer it. The number calls me 3 times and then starts leaving voicemail. So I check the voicemail. It's a shipping company. Because I did this tracking from a phone, they got my information and called me back and called me to check see if they could maybe quote me a better rate. Which is great, because they want to quote me a better rate, but even if they went half price, it was still going to be too expensive. But the fact is that because I went on the internet and looked up to try to get an idea of what freight would cost me, somebody at some company got my information and was able to call me back.
Whoa. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Though they're listening to us, that's for sure. Jobber, great to see you there, my friend. Kai, I'm honored to see you here. Thank you. Thanks for dropping in, sir. That's crazy, dude. But yeah, it's just this internet thing they're talking about these days is really scaring the hell out of me. Eastland has a question for you. Lie to him. Will he become a more talented at drawing if he buys a drafting table? If that's the case, yes. I'm buying one.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, there you go. Good. I'll take that lie and I'll double it and I'll get me one. There you go. Apparently, a lot of modern day funny book artists don't have drafting tables then. But anyway, they have computers.
No, computers. Actually, most of them are drawing in their drafting tables, not on them, in them.
In them. No. Gotcha. I got you. Good to see you there. Jobber. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Jobber. I took that. First saw Flash Gordon in the 80s, Defenders of the Earth. Yeah, of course. Good. That was a well-liked cartoon of the time. I didn't watch it much because I wasn't watching any of the syndicated cartoons at that point. And the Phantom flies on that cartoon for some reason. I was like, what the hell? But yeah.
Well, and I know who Mandrake is, but then they put up with Lothar, and it almost seemed the token diversity character. And it's like, I've never even heard of this character. You couldn't have come up with somebody else, anybody else. And but that cartoon, if you actually look at it as a sequel, I mean, obviously Dale looks nothing like the Dale from the Filmation cartoon. But if you think of this as a sequel, it almost works. Almost, not quite, but almost.
I hear you. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about a little bit about Defenders of the Earth at some point, a little later. We'll start though from the beginning, somewhat. Flash Gordon, as I was talking earlier, this character started in the comic strips. In the comic strips, in 1934. As you can see there, created by legendary comic artist Alex Raymond.
First strip appeared on January 7th.
Indeed, it did, and he was. Well, I got a couple of cool pictures to show you about that later. But did I find them? Oh man, I forgot to load them. God damn it! Well, I'll find them later. About different artists, but there were a lot of well-known artists that worked on the character over the years. But Alex Raymond created him. And then, unfortunately, passed away in 1946, I believe, in a car accident with Stan Drake, well-known comic strip artist Stan Drake. One of the interesting things I've learned in some of my studies of comic book history over the years is the elitism that strip artists, some felt over comic book artists. I thought they were the comic artists were slumming. But I'm not saying Hal Foster, Alex Raymond, or all those, or Milton Caniff in particular thought they were better than comic book artists, but it seemed like Stan Drake, and seemed like some of them, but that's neither here nor there. They hung out together, the strip artists.
Well, the strip artist did, and the comic book artist did, and never the two shall meet. That unfortunately was the tragedy of the whole situation. Was not that I mean, obviously they looked at comic book as slumming, but that they wouldn't even consider any artistic talent that was coming out of the comic book industry at all. You couldn't be bothered with the strips. It's like talking to a lesser human. And the sad, it's really sad. I actually have that Raymond quit the strip actually before he passed away, about 5 years before he passed away, and handed it off to somebody else. But it's the inspirations for Flash Gordon are what kind of interest me. And I don't know if you looked into that a whole lot, but obviously, the Buck Rogers strip was very, very popular at the time, even though the artwork inside of it was actually pretty, we'll say crude. I would not crude as in, it was. Yeah, and but the story for Flash Gordon was actually inspired by a novel by Philip Wilde,
who also
was also
turned
into Philip Wilde, but it was this particular novel was actually also turned into a movie, one that you should check out if you haven't seen. I'm sure you have, but for our audience, it was called When Worlds Collide.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. A lot of it also borrows very heavily from John Carter. Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter, amongst other things, but which is fine, by the way. And yes, Philip Wilde from Philip Nolan as well, of course. Buck Rogers. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Chris Persia is here, the king of the wrenches. Hail, sir, the beautiful and wonderful Purple Valkyrie. Oh, it's wonderful to see you, my dear. I'm flattered and honored to have you here. It is truly wonderful. We are, of course, here with the great Mark C. Just starting out talking about Flash Gordon and Alex Raymond's wonderful creation. Again, Alex Raymond, of course, did pass away around 1946. But other artists, as you can see from this illustration right here, I mean, the great Mac Rayboy. Now, so he's a guy that worked in comic books as well, but a lot of comic book people worked in strips, but a lot of the strip guys didn't go to comics very much. Yeah. But I love Rayboy, but of course, most notably on his Captain Marvel Jr. stuff. And a lot of that changed.
There was actually another artist between Raymond and Mac Rayboy though, because Raymond did the strip on Sundays when it was only a Sunday strip for a while, from 1934 to 43. And then in 1940, the strip went daily. When the strip went daily, an artist by the name of Austin Briggs took over. I think Raymond at the time was probably still writing the strip, or at least plotting the strip. But Austin Briggs was actually physically drawing the strip. And then in 1944, Alex Raymond quit the strip altogether, and then Briggs started doing the Sundays, and he did them until 1948 when Mac Rayboy actually took over.
I have some of the Rayboy albums. Latino Slant, the great Latino Slant, folks. Paulie is here, one of my buddies who, of course, has a great channel, and the link to his channel is in the description below. Please go check it out if you have not already. Yeah, again, that's basically, he was a comic strip character, of course, very well known. And again, as I prefaced at the beginning, there was a time when Flash Gordon was, you know, again, a household name. It was as big as could be. Everyone talked about him. The Little Rascals even argued about him. On one of my favorite Little Rascals episodes, I remember just as a kid, I forget which two of them they were, but they were arguing who was stronger, Flash Gordon or Tarzan. And their father said, "I don't know who this Flash Tarzan Gordon person is." But one of the, you know, very early on, I mean, the strip wasn't very old at all when this happened.
1936.
Buster Crabbe, Larry Buster Crabbe, of course, who played Buck Rogers, whom we were talking about a little bit earlier, but who has played Buck Rogers. He's played Tarzan, by the way, as well. This, of course, there were 3 12-part serials: Flash Gordon, Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars, Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe. All of them were just, again, all based on the great works of Alex Raymond. We'll look at a little bit more of his stuff here. He was a magnificent artist. And if you look at the comic strips, I backtracked a little bit because there was some point in it, Mike. Comic strips really had not yet become the most sequential of art like comic books are. The Alex Raymonds and the Hal Fosters and things like that. They did their panels were very static, things like that. There were static images a lot of the time, great ones though as well. But they were just, it was amazing stuff. And of course, there's some Mac Rayboy right there. Just amazing.
The thing that separates Alex Raymond and even a Hal Foster from pretty much everybody else was these were 2 guys in a time while comic strips were in their almost infancy. There was some pretty primitive art going on at the time in these strips, and yes, these 2 guys from an illustrative standpoint were just light years ahead of the world. I mean, ahead of everybody. Even though looking at the strip now and knowing the art that we've had in the last 100 years, I don't know where the art goes without them. But as primitive as it may look to you now, it was the pinnacle of art, at least for comic books and comic strips at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody could beat Hal Foster or Alex Raymond, and Raymond's strip just had so much fantasy, and the imagination behind the strip was so incredible. And it was an instant hit because, I mean, it only took 2 years from the time the strip started for them to come out with the first serial. And the first one you said was called Flash Gordon, and that's true. But each one of the serials that Buster Crabbe was in actually have various other titles. So
yes, of course.
If anybody out there is actually interested in checking them out, or ever thought to check them out, or thought about picking them up, the original one, 1936, Flash Gordon, is also known as the Space Soldiers or as Spaceship to the Unknown.
Yeah.
Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars, also known as the Deadly Ray from Mars. And then Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe is broken up into 2 parts: the Purple Death from Outer Space, and then Planet from Peril. The Peril from Planet Mongo, was the second part. But there's actually a box set you can get with all of it in there, but it's actually pretty pricey at this point because it's out of print.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love them. I grew up watching those. We had a morning TV show for kids, an afternoon TV show as well, called Buckskin Bill here in Baton Rouge, and he used to run the old Flash Gordon serials in the mornings on there, and that's where I first learned about Flash Gordon. My God, I just got just such great stuff. and the Great Buster Crabbe, of course. I love Trip to Mars, by the way. That was like 15 chapter.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Serial.
It's a long one.
But I love these posters, man. These are great.
I've seen Trip to Mars, but Trip to Mars is the one I actually have the first one in the last one, Conquers the Universe. But Trip to Mars is actually the one I'm missing. So I'm looking forward to picking it up sometime soon. Yeah. But haven't had a chance to grab it yet.
Yeah. And again, here's the thing. A lot of people know that. I mean, obviously, again, most of them know about Sam J. Jones, but I mean, a lot of them, at least some other people are closer to our age range, my age range, and then yours even, know about Buster Crabbe. You know what? A lot of people, and everyone knows that there are comic books. There were King Features comic books, and there were Dell comic books later. There were quite a few comics out there. You know, at the same time, the strips were in existence. But
yes,
go ahead.
From 1936 to 65, the strips were being reprinted in comic book format, and King Comics, then Dell, then Harvey, and Gold Key all produced reprints. That changed in 1966, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Right now, though, again, a lot of people probably don't know. And what you do know is about this gent,
Mr. Steve Holland.
Steve Holland.
And for those that are really geeky into their pulp stuff, also known as Doc Savage, Man of Bronze.
This guy here. What the hell's wrong with my pictures? Here, Steve Holland.
That show's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, terrible TV show of the 1950s of Flash Gordon. But if you're familiar with, Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze, the great James Bama, good God, some of the greatest book covers ever are the Doc Savage pulp covers. I have so many of these. And this is the guy that posed for him. Look at him. He should have played, dude. Look at him. He should have played Doc Savage in a movie. That's Doc right there, man. It's Doc Savage.
Why did it would have been a little better than Ron Ely?
I love Ron Ely, though. I mean, the movie's got its faults, but yeah.
It's if you think Flash Gordon is the pinnacle of cheesy film, the pulp movies, then no, you've never ever seen the George Pal film.
George Pal.
Wow.
It is campier than Flash Gordon. Well, it was an attempt to cash in on the Batman craze 10 years too late. Is what it was.
Right.
So yeah, man. But I like a lot of it. I thought Ely would have been great in a serious Doc Savage film. And have you ever wondered how much the gold and black outfits Flash Gordon? Well, yeah. Not only that, was it Jor-El on the very first episode of The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves on Krypton was wearing an old Flash Gordon uniform. I should have put a picture of that. I didn't think about that because I forget things because I do. That's just me. I do things like that. I forget. But yeah, terrible show.
Yeah, no, the whole show has never been released for public consumption since its original airing. You can buy about 13 episodes of this if you're interested in it, but that's all that was ever released was the first 13. And despite 20 years later than the original serials, the production value is just terrible compared to the serials. If you've never seen the Buster Crabbe serials, they just probably, and you're a fan of science fiction, and they should be in your collection in some way, shape, or form. I recommend you go get them. I can't recommend this show. It's just bad.
Yeah, but I wanted to touch on it a little bit. And again,
you got to talk about it. It is part of the character's history.
Oh, sure. And really, again, you had the strip, then you had the serials, then you had this show, and then you went back. Mainly, the Flash Gordon strips, of course, ran for almost forever, pretty much forever. But you had comics. You just named a bunch of the series there, and a bunch of the different companies that did Flash Gordon comics. And then there was really not a lot going on with Flash Gordon. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, for a while there, you had the strip still going, but there wasn't a whole lot. The show had ended because the show only lasted, let's see, I have it written down here. From 1954 and 55, 31 episodes of the Steve Holland Show. And so by mid 60s, the only thing that exists at this point is the strip. And not a whole lot of people at this point. I think the bloom has worn off the rose, so to speak, or the shine's worn off the shoes a bit, because he's starting to lose a little bit of interest. And then, but there are fans of Alex Raymond out there that are comic book fans. And in 1966, King Comics decides to take another crack at putting out a Flash Gordon comic, and this time they're doing original material. It's the first time they were doing original material in a comic book of Flash Gordon. And one of the artists that worked on those was Al Williamson, as we see in the picture. I believe that's Al Williamson.
Which one here? Yeah, let's see here.
Yes.
In the background. Well, this, of course, and also in our background, we have some Al Williamson. Well, we have a lot of Al Williamson here, buddy. That I got you covered on Al Williamson.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the Flash Gordon, the Gold Key cover that you're showing. Because
yes, but this is early work. But yeah. Good.
Yeah. See, once Mac Raboy was on the strip, and he stayed with it. Let me see here. He stayed with it till 67, working on the Sundays, and he only did the Sundays to my knowledge. I don't know if the daily strip went away or it just went back to doing Sundays, or maybe Raboy was doing the dailies as well, and I just didn't see the information. But these guys would take time off, and then when they take time off, they would go and find other artists that they knew to carry the strip for a week or two. And especially during the Dan Barry period, who took over for Mac Raboy, he would definitely go find other artists to do it. And one of the artists he would pick to do the series while he was taking a vacation was Al Williamson. Al only ever did, as far as the strip is concerned, only ever did fill-ins. He was never the feature artist, which honestly, in 48, when Mac Raboy took over, Al Williamson should have took over the strip and stayed on the strip until he was dead. It would have been the greatest comic strip in the history of the world if he had stayed on it and took over pretty much right after Alex Raymond, because I mean, Austin Briggs was only on it for 4 years, and by that point, I think Al Williamson was old enough. He could have, if not then shortly thereafter, he could have taken it over, and it would have been an amazing strip. With the image you're showing right now, you just look at it and go, God, why didn't we get more? We should have got more. And we only got maybe like 6 issues of that King Comics. Out of the first 11, I think, were his. And then he drew later on. He did the movie. Obviously, the movie adaptation we talked about in a previous episode, and he did a 2-issue Marvel miniseries that, and that was it. It breaks my heart that this man didn't get to draw more Flash Gordon than he did, because it would have been a better strip. But
absolutely, I loved it. I mean, I just love his. Oh man, I mean, I love his Star Wars, but his Flash Gordon stuff, to me, as you said, there wasn't really enough of it, and he even did something we talked about a lot. This, the adaptation of the film from 1980, which we will talk about more later. He is, other than Alex Raymond, he's my favorite Flash Gordon artist.
Same here. And depending on the images I'm looking at, sometimes I may even like him a little better than Alex Raymond.
No, I can't believe it. I mean, he's just wonderful.
And then understand, this takes anything away from Briggs, Raboy, or Barry, who worked on the strip. Mostly. Yeah. Dan Barry was on the strip for 40 years. For 40 years, he did the strip. So and it's funny because I look at the faces how Dan drew Flash, and I see him as Kurt Swan is to Superman. Dan Barry is the Flash Gordon. He didn't create it, but there's a maturity that he put in the face that other artists never did, and he's just considered, even though Alex Raymond, thank goodness, is so key to the character and his thought. When people think of Flash Gordon, strip or the as a comic character in any way, shape, or form, Alex is the one that most people think of. But Dan has done the bulk of Flash Gordon for the history of the career of the character's existence.
Well, all the art you see in the opening credits of the 1980 film is Alex Raymond, which rightly so. But Dan Barry probably worked on the character on the strips maybe definitely longer than anybody.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it was great though, and I loved him. But Al Williamson, like you said, man, it would have been great to get him longer. And really, after that point, not too long after that, it kind of just Flash Gordon as far as. And there was the strip again, the Dan Barry strip in the newspaper, but comics were again mostly reprint stuff at that point. Interestingly enough, someone in the early 70s, you had these books. I have these.
Yeah.
These novels. These were novels, and even though it says, well, Alex Raymond's original story, they were not scripted. Obviously, it couldn't have been novelized. They were novelized by a guy named Con Stephenson, which was a pseudonym for Ron Goulart. And if you've been around science fiction, geekness, or anything like that, you know who Ron Goulart is. He's been around a while. He's worked with a lot of people, and so he novelized these under that was one of his pseudonyms for some reason.
I've heard of these novels. I've never seen them, and I've never had the chance to read them. I hope one day that I get the opportunity, at least to have them in my collection, just because I love this character so much, and it would be great to. One of the neat things about novels as an artist is, if you read a comic book and you try to draw a comic book character, you find yourself copying. Well, even if it's just subconsciously copying a lot of the artwork that you've seen. However, if you read it from a novel, then a lot of times the landscape you're creating is yours. And reading it from a novel, you can adapt it a novel into a comic book format a lot easier than you can another comic book. Now, speaking of the comic books, it's funny because I mentioned that King Features started doing new material in '66. Well, that only went for 11 months. They only did 11 issues. Then Charlton picked up the title. And when they picked it up and started with issue 12 and went on to issue 18. And that was after a year break in the story because it ended in '67 with King, and Charlton didn't pick it up until '69. And then they kept it until 1970, and then nothing for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then in 1978, Gold Key picks the book up, and they started back at issue 19. So they just kept running with the same numbering the whole way. They held it on till issue 27, and then it went. They were still publishing it, but it went under the Whitman name. In 1980, and kept it going to 1982. And eventually that turned out to be, I think, 37 issues. But it was just funny how it went from 3 different companies over the course of almost 20 years. And they only got 37 issues out, but it was 3 different companies, and they kept the numbering going. They never chopped it up. It wasn't like starting over with a new number 1. They just went on to the next issue. And I've never heard of anything like that.
Well, they were big disarray at that time. With Gold Key, Whitman, Charlton, all those. They were just being eaten alive by the big companies and the alternative stuff, and they really weren't doing very well at that point with any of those comics. So yeah, they were a mess. And then the rights. We're jumping ahead a little bit. We're going to go back a second, but since you were on that track, then the rights went to DC, and they did this lousy comic. But this was in the late 80s.
1988, 9 issues.
Yeah,
Dan Jurgens.
I had my shop. Yeah. Oh.
And it's pretty bad.
Sorry, Dan.
I love Dan Jurgens' art, but
yeah, the story was.
It's very much like the Mac Rayboy situation and other artists who have worked on Flash. I don't consider these people bad artists. In many cases, I love their art, but there's an aesthetic to Flash Gordon that you have to have.
Yeah.
Both your rendering ability. Or your rendering style and your sensibilities have to be a certain way to understand how to draw this particular world. And
This was terrible.
Nobody outside of nobody else. The only other person that I know of outside of Alex Raymond that truly got it was Al Williamson. But Dan Jurgens was probably the furthest away from it as far as any of the series that went on. It's no slight to him because I love his Superman work, but wow, yeah, this just didn't work.
Yeah,
didn't work.
I was pretty upset by this one, dude. But we'll backtrack a little. I just wanted to go since you were on that track of the Whitman comics, and that's where the
it's not backtracking because the Whitman series ends in '82, and then there is nothing until this series comes out in '88. So we went six years without any Flash Gordon. Obviously, in '80 you had the movie adaptation, but for 6 years during the '80s there was nothing, and that's when was the heyday of I got in '83. So by me getting into comic books, there's no Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't backtracking. The comic part was. I'm saying I'm going backwards now to a certain point though. But I wanted to stay on comics there for a second. And then there was the greatest adventure of all. Late 70s Filmation brought Flash Gordon back to the forefront just a little bit. And we're almost, by the way, Captain Trek, thank you for popping in, sir. Great to see you. Lou Scheimer's Filmation company took Flash Gordon, got the rights. And what a lot of people don't know, I mean, everyone knows, for example, everyone has probably, not everyone, I mean, a lot of you are probably familiar with this cartoon, this Flash Gordon animated series. But what a lot of people don't know is they think it originated as a Saturday morning series. Which, however, Filmation decided to make a network television movie. Remember TV movies, my friends? Everyone, you remember those? I'm sure you got to be old to remember them, but yes. Around 79, I believe, or so, 79ish or something. A little bit before the cartoon was on Saturday morning, they made a movie, quote unquote, TV movie, and it was for Filmation, it was really great. It was really great animation because they had very limited animation on a lot of their shows. This one, they went all out. I'm not saying it's what you used to term as full animation at the time, but it was close as Filmation will ever get. And they did this this TV movie, and it was written by Samuel Peoples, who was actually worked on the old Star Trek original series. He wrote Where No Man Has Gone Before, the second Star Trek pilot. And this is vastly different from the animated series, which did use up all of the same art and voices and everything. It was called... No,
that's not true. The voices are different. The voices are actually different.
Some of them are the same. But you're right, there's different ones.
Ming is actually different. I think the only one I remember being the same is probably Flash Gordon's, actually. Most everyone else was completely different. And it was I watched the Greatest Adventure of All. We were talking about this before we got onto the live stream. It is so vastly different than the series, and the animation, as you said, it's far better than probably any animation Filmation had done before or since.
Well, I stand corrected. Some of the voices are different,
but it's incredible. When we get off of this live stream, if you guys are listening, it's on YouTube. It's called Flash Gordon: The Greatest Adventure of All. It's a good way to spend an hour and 45 minutes.
It is, to me, it is as close as we're ever going to see in our lifetimes to an adaptation of Alex Raymond's pure vision of Flash Gordon. I'm not saying it's 100% like it, don't get me wrong, but it's as close as you're ever going to see, in my opinion, ever. Flash Gordon: The Greatest Adventure of All. Like Mark says, it's available on YouTube. And like I said, some of the voices were different on the cartoon, but all the art was reused over and over again, in fact, for the cartoon on Saturday morning, which is a box set, as you know, didn't come with the damn movie.
I don't understand why that was the case. That really was upsetting. I'm
not exactly sure. Something probably to do with NBC. NBC ran this a few times, and I remember when they ran The Greatest Adventure of All during the time. RN Feliciano, thank you for popping in. It's great to see you there, my friend.
It was on NBC. It was a Sunday night, as I recall, that they ran this.
Well, they ran it like 2 or 3 times at night. And I remember I was on a rerun in 1982 that I realized that they were showing it because I'd never seen the movie. I just seen the Saturday morning thing, right? So I recorded it, and I wore that tape out for. I mean, that VHS must have lasted me almost 20 years until I was able to get it a bootleg on DVD later, and I must have watched it 1,000 times. It wasn't until I don't know, a handful of years ago that I finally got the Saturday morning cartoon and then remembered how different it was. So I haven't watched that much. I've watched the movie over and over again. It's aggravating to watch the Saturday morning version now because the way it's all changed up, and it's just, I don't like it.
Oh, I can tell you why they didn't include it is because of the man from the 40s from Germany whose name cannot be mentioned on YouTube. Features prominently within the movie. But it's outside of that, and the tie-in they had where he's actually not human, but a agent from Mongo meant to disrupt Earth. That man
great.
from Germany in the 40s. I thought was a great addition, but everything else within that movie, I have right here in front of me. 2 of the 4 volumes because they're so damn expensive that IDW put out. They're about the same size as the artist editions, and it's Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon and Jungle Jim. And I was going through them today, prepping for the show, and as I'm looking through it, and I had just watched the movie, I don't know, maybe about 3-4 weeks ago for the first time ever, because you had mentioned it several times, and it's like, I wonder if it's on YouTube because I know I can't buy it. And lo and behold, not only is it on there, but it's actually not a bad version of it. I mean, it's pretty clear. And anyway, watch it. So I'm looking through the strips as they're collected in this volume that I have, and I'm like, wow, the movie really followed the strips pretty close. I mean, as far as locations, who they come across on the way to on Mongo, on the way to Ming's Palace. They really did a good job of trying to adapt the strip itself into this animated feature. So it is, if you're a fan of the strip, of the early strips that Alex Raymond did, I can't recommend that movie enough because it really is an adaptation of the strip. I mean, looking at it going, okay, well, there's that monster that was in the okay, this is where they were in the they were trying to get across he had the princess and he was trying to get away from the monster in the pit. And I mean, you're just sitting there looking and it's all there. And you're just like, wow, they really did a great job on that thing. And the animation is so much better than anything they did. I enjoy this. Yeah. I've had the series on DVD since it was released, and the watching their version, that version of the I think it's like 4 episodes make up that story. Is very frustrating to watch, knowing that the other one is out there. But the rest of the show is pleasant as all get out. It's like 30-something episodes. Let's see how many are there.
The pink dragon was annoying though, too. Yeah. They tried to make it like the old serial though. Yeah.
32 episodes of it, and the rest of them are a lot of fun. You know, it's adventure of the week kind of stuff. The first storyline is the only one that's kind of serialized within the cartoon. Back then, they didn't like to serialize cartoons because the networks would run things out of order. So it was always adventure of the week, and the rest of the show is pretty good. But yeah, the movie is so much better than those 4 episodes of the show that make it up. It's night and day difference. It really, really is.
If any of you get a chance and you're interested in this cartoon, go to YouTube and find Flash Gordon, the greatest adventure of all. Man, I strongly recommend it if you love animated features, and I love animated features. So great stuff.
I would say that there's a lot of rotoscoping there. I'd say it's about as good as the animation from the movie Heavy Metal, which came out just another year or 2 later.
Thanks, Paulie. By the way, I appreciate that, bro. Say again, which one? I'm sorry, buddy. What'd you say? Heavy Metal?
Yeah, Heavy Metal. I would say that the animation quality is about like that. There's a lot of rotoscoping, but yes. To say that it's as good as the Heavy Metal animation is saying a lot for Filmation, because Filmation was as stagnant as it got. I mean, one of the reasons why Bruce Timm became Bruce Timm was he started out, he did a lot of work for Filmation, and he was just bored there. And the fact that he would, the only thing he had a static shot that was stock from that they pull out of a file folder, and he was animating an arm, but only from the elbow down, you know, for, you know, however many frames it took to do the motion, and that was it. And he says, like, it was so factory put together that it became, it was just frustrating. I remember these figures. I never had them. I wanted them so bad. Can't find them anymore. If you can find them, they're expensive as hell.
Yes, I believe our buddy Michael French of Retro Blasting has them, and not many other people do. So,
curse him.
Curse you, Michael. Love you, bro. If you're out there listening, Michael, he needs to do I'd say do a show on Flash Gordon toys, but it wouldn't take very long.
No, there's not much. There's more now than there used to be, but I mean, most of it all centers around the 1980 movie.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of which, way to go, man! You just segged this right into it.
I did that on purpose.
Well done, man. You're a master. The most famous, there's no question about it, folks, the most famous aspect of the Flash Gordon character, while it was once Buster Crabbe, no question about it in the pop culture eye, it is now the Sam J. Jones, Michael Hodges directed Flash Gordon, the Dino De Laurentiis produced film. With what a cast. What a film in 1980, just 40 years now. 40 years now. Man, 1980, I must have gone back to see it 15 bazillion times. I mean, I lost count. I don't know, man. I just love it. And it's a cornball fest. Everyone knows it. And yet it's funny how it used to get really made fun of in the 80s. I mean, it wasn't like the biggest of a hits back then, really, at all. If I remember correctly, but
it was a hit overseas, and internationally, but it did no business here in the States. None.
Except for me. And I was the only one.
You and Alex Ross.
That's about it. Yeah.
You guys make up the entirety. I didn't see this in the movie theater. I didn't see it till it came to cable. I had a choice. I could either go see this or I could go see Empire Strikes Back, and well, that wasn't much of a choice.
No, it wasn't. You're right. I saw that way more times, but well, I don't know. It was about the same amount, maybe. But again, I just couldn't stop going to a theater. I don't know what it was. Yeah, it's really become a huge, an iconic film, a very well remembered, very dearly loved film now. Over the course of time, and I think rightly so. It's just a big bowl of fun. There's no question about it. The camp aspect works far better in this than it did for the George Powell, Doc Savage film, the aforementioned film we were talking about, because this is funnier, and this cast is just terrific. And, say what you want about Sam Jones. I mean, Max von Sydow, wow. Charles Middleton's Ming the Merciless of the Buster Crabbe, the Buster Crabbe serials, was menacing, and it was a great performance and everything. But Max von Sydow, just terrific.
He treated the role as if it were delicious. That's how he chewed on it like he was eating a delicious steak, and just chewed the scenery as Ming. And Princess Aurora she was no slouch there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I had this discussion with my mother a few years ago, because it was on, or I had it on, and I think I was running it for the first time for my kid, and we were over at my mother's house, and so I had it on, and Mom's watching this, and she's starting to pay attention to it. And she never had when I was a kid. She goes, "Is this the movie you used to watch when you were a kid?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Is this okay for him to watch?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, and I said, "Mom, when I was a kid and this was on TV, I never picked up on the amount of sexual innuendo that was in this movie. And there's a lot, but no, never did. Never did. Even the whole ring on Dale and hypnotizing her into making very caressing motions with her arms it never really occurred to me, because as a kid, especially as a boy, you just don't think that way. It's just like, I want to see him beat the crap out of the bad guys. I like the football scene better. I'm thinking about, when's he gonna get the eggs and start beating up the guards with the eggs, like he's throwing football. And I thought it was a good. If you're going to, the original Flash Gordon is a polo player from Yale University.
Yep,
and
that is correct.
If you're going to update the character, yes,
yeah.
in the strip. If you're going, and even in the Filmation cartoon, if you're going to
Filmation,
update,
he's an Olympian. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Olympics. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. If you're going to update the character as far as what type of athlete he is, making him a quarterback for a football team makes absolute sense. It was a good way to go. It was, as a kid, you don't pick up on the cheesy aspects of the movie. It's only when you get older that you start realizing it. And, it's finally starting to pick up steam. And I would say since the birth of the YouTube era or the internet era, this movie started to kind of garner a little more respect. But as you said, for many years, the soundtrack was the only thing anybody ever thought of. And Flash was it. That was the whole identity for this film. The entire identity of it. Yeah, had a lot of sleeves, but you did. But I mean, I saw it in '81, which means it would have been about 8 years old, and it was the farthest thing from my mind. I just thought it was you look at the colors, and Flash is just over the top, heroically good dude. And but you go back and watch it today, and the dialogue and how the delivery goes just cracks me up. He's on the tilting circle of spikes and death, fighting Baron, and Dale's on the side, and she goes, "Flash, I love you, but we only have 14 hours to save the Earth." I'm like, where the hell did that come from? We were talking before we started the show. The plane crashes into Zarkov's lab, and there's no flame, there's no smoke. The plane's just dead, and it's inside this big glass building that's Zarkov's lab, lair, whatever you want to call it. And he looks at Dale and says, "You okay?" And she says, "Yeah, I'm fine." He says, "Good, let's get out of here before she blows." And it's like, this plane's not gonna blow up, and it never does. It never blows up, and you're just kind of like, wow. And then you find out later that Sam Jones apparently doesn't understand that when you get paid for, or at the time didn't understand that when you get paid for a film role, you have obligations to that film until even beyond the release date when it comes to promoting the movie. But if you get called back in and say, "Hey, you can come in and do ADR," which is audio dialogue replacement, you're obligated to come in and do it. And he thought it was a negotiating technique to ask for more money to go in and dub his audio. And they didn't take too kindly to it, so they found somebody that sounded like him and had his dialogue dubbed.
Yep. And he didn't enjoy that too much.
Nah, he was pretty upset about it.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of that, Paulie, since my good friend Paulie Lucino Slant, thank you, by the way, for that earlier, Paulie. The occupations of Flash Gordon, it should be noted that he's had several. As Mark pointed out in the original comic strip, he was a polo player. The Buster Crabbe was an Olympic swimmer. I believe it was mentioned. In The Greatest Adventure of All, he was an Olympian and the gold medalist of the Olympics. In this film, of course, he was the quarterback for the New York Jets. And then the really stupid aforementioned DC comic from the late 80s, he was a forward for the Boston Celtics. So he's been all over the place, just depending on what you're reading. So, yeah. And
if I were starting the strip today, I would definitely make him a football player.
It works.
Yeah, I missed out on this one. I really, because
it's crazy,
this is completely Studio Canal set, completely sold out. If you didn't get it, you're not gonna. If you find it, it's gonna cost you hundreds of dollars to get this.
It's crazy.
there is a 40th anniversary American version that you can grab by Arrow. And but yeah, I think they're sold out on their website, still available on Amazon. But try to forget that information because I don't know how many they have, and I have yet to order mine, and that's going to be done probably tonight. And I want to make sure I get mine.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, this is something I'll never get, but good God, look at that. I already have a couple of different versions, but we were talking about just one more little shout out to the great Buster Crabbe because he deserves the respect. Buster Crabbe, of course, before he played Flash Gordon, everyone did play Buck Rogers. And then he played Flash Gordon, and then he played Tarzan, and then he played Flash Gordon sort of one other time.
Yeah, it's him there on the left.
The great TV series that I love. I love this show. And you talk about, again, a cheesy or campy show. I loved Buck Rogers in the 25th century, and, you know, I don't care if anyone makes fun of me for it. And this episode, which was the first regular episode after the pilot Awakening, with the worst title, but one of the best episodes ever, called Planet of the Slave Girls, which was a stupid title, but it was a great one. He plays Colonel Gordon. And
yeah, it's just nice shooting there, pilot.
Nice
What's your name?
Nice
shooting there. What's your name? He goes,
yeah.
Gordon. I've been doing this a long time.
Actually, no. Well, actually, was the special thing about the exchange was when he says, "Hey, good shooting, Gordon. Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" He goes, "Well, young man, I've been doing that sort of thing since before you were born." And Buck Rogers, who's 500 years old, says, "You think so, huh?" And then he says, "Young man, I know so." I love it. I love it.
It was funny because I never picked up. I mean, good Lord, I was so young when that show came out. I mean, that was what, 78, 79, 79.
9, yeah.
And I remember in 78, the Battlestar Galactica, the pilot for that, and then the same thing, because Glenn Larson did them both, the pilot for Buck Rogers in the 25th century with Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray.
I love him. Oh, I love that show.
Both pilots episodes were shown in the movie theater as theatrical films.
That's right.
And yeah, they were great. But so I was way too young to pick up on the aspect that, you know, this was Buster Crabbe and
oh yeah.
But it wasn't until I got the series on DVD and started watching and it was just like tee because
I never get tired of watching Buck Rogers, man. I mean, and people if say it ages badly and all that kind of stuff, I just love it. And yeah.
I can watch the first season. The second season's a little more difficult when you start adding Hawk.
Except for the first episode, I agree. Yeah.
The production value, they started to try to do the show cheaper, and
right.
It became
right.
And Dr. Oh God, what's the little circle that Twiggy carries around on his? That he had a different voice. And
Dr. Theopolis.
Yeah, he had a different
gone.
voice, and it's hard to watch the second season.
Well,
it really
he
is.
did for part of it, but then Mel Blanc came back to do Tweaky. But on Flash Gordon, though, around the time that the film came out, there was a movie novelization. But here's an oddity for anyone who may be a Flash Gordon fan. Anyone ever see these? This is some rare stuff here.
I've never seen them. I've seen them on the internet, but I've never seen them in person.
I've got these.
The one in the middle on the top row is probably the most common, but the rest of them are pretty tough. If you've got them, then hold on to them with dear life. Probably put you to get through college.
No, I mean I've been seeing some cheap prices on them recently when I was doing some research on them, remembering them and stuff. And as you notice, a couple of them had Boris covers.
Mm-hmm.
I think 5 of them do or whatever. But these books, if you're a Flash Gordon fan, they're an oddity. They're different. They're called Flash Gordon. They are virtually nothing to do with Flash Gordon from the Alex Raymond one that we know and love. It's in the 23rd century or something. I mean, it's just, he's more like Buck Rogers, really. I mean, again, it's a long time since I read them. They're called the Citadel books. These are by Ace Tempo or something, I believe. They don't read like Flash Gordon. They're not on Mongo. They're nothing like it. But they're called Flash Gordon, all right. And I love the covers.
Yeah, no, the covers are great. If you want to get into Flash Gordon, doesn't feel like Flash Gordon, we need to go back to TV, because
Well, I understand.
but after after the wonderful Filmation series, the next time we see Flash Gordon on television is Defenders of the Earth, which is where a lot of, I think, if you're in your 20s today or 30s, maybe the first time you heard the name. I had a father who loved the serial, so that's how I was actually introduced to him. Whenever they would run old movies on Sundays, Saturdays, they would run old movies, and that's how I got introduced to it. But the Defenders of the Earth, it was Flash Gordon, it was the Phantom, it was Mandrake the Magician, and Luthor, and they kind of fought Ming and Ming's minions together while on Earth. And like I said, if you close your eyes and squint, it almost feels like a sequel to the Filmation series, because Flash and Dale are a little older. I believe they have a kid, and so it kind of works in that sense. But and I was surprised. I could not believe that show ran for 65 episodes. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, that's a dream for a lot of, I would have to imagine it had to be somewhere at least a afternoon cartoon to get 65.
It was syndicated in the afternoon, yeah.
Because that means they're running 5 a week to be able to get 65. But yeah, I mean, and it's not a bad show. It just doesn't feel like Flash Gordon to me. It feels like a team up show, and it's not a bad one. It's just kind of odd. But then in 1996. There was another animated Flash Gordon series where Flash and Dale were teenagers.
Yes. Oh boy.
It ran for 26 episodes, and when I tell you of all the things of Flash Gordon that you could go out there and find, this is even the Steve Holland show, this is the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Like, I don't even like to claim that this is Flash Gordon, other than the fact that the name's on it, you kind of have to when discussing it. But it's pardon the language that the kids are out there, but this is fucking terrible. I mean, it is bad. It is. I mean, it.
Yeah, buddy,
there's
you
no
get an
other
argument out of me.
There's no other way around it. But getting us to 1996, we start getting into an era here where it starts getting to be a bit of we've gone, when we get back to the strips. Starting in 1990, we've got Ralph Reese, Bruce Jones, and Gray Morrow, who's a great artist, working on the strip. They only worked on it for a year, and then
later, Polly. Have a good one, Polly.
Thomas Workington and Andreas, I don't even know how to Kalsick, worked on it for a year, and then even Kevin Van Hook, who was a writer in comic books, Richard Bruning, who did a little bit of writing and drawing, worked on it for a while. And then in 1996, though, Jim Keefe takes over the strip as the last true artist for the Flash Gordon strip for the comic books. So that's why 96 becomes quite a pivotal year for Flash Gordon. And Jim Keefe is a good artist. There's stuff of his Flash Gordon run that I really like, and no disrespect to the Workington and a few of the other guys that worked in this mid 90s period, early to mid 90s period, but the strip really kind of suffered during that time because these guys just weren't really geared for Flash Gordon. It's not that they were bad, they just weren't geared for that character. Jim Keefe was probably the one artist that came along after that was. And he held the reins there for about 7 years. A little known fact, though, during his run, he got a guest artist to come in and do the strip on a Sunday. It was John Romita.
Well, I guess my surprise is shot, but that's okay. I was going to surprise you with that, but
you had it. Oh, awesome! You've got it. I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Do you know why John Romita did it? He couldn't pay him that much.
I probably just did to be able to do the strip.
Because he loved Flash Gordon, and he said, because I've got this other guy to do it by the name of Joe Kubert. And he went to, Keith graduated the Kubert School.
Yeah.
So
now you got me. Now you got my juices flowing here. I'm feeling all turgid now. This is beautiful.
go to Keith's blog. It's great. Jim Keith's blog is great.
I'm gonna have to. I know. I knew Romita had done it, but I'd never seen the strip, and I never knew that Joe Kubert had done it. So this is amazing.
When he said, Joe, John Romita did it. He told the story. There's a story about it on his blog how he did it. He said he couldn't pay him much because King Features wasn't paying anything really hardly at all. But man, and he loved these artists. Of course, he studied under Joe. But yes, let's go back. Romita Flash Gordon, dude, how friggin' cool is that? But yeah, I want to surprise you with it, but I'm glad you found that out, though. It's cool.
No. I do my research. I try to find out, but I'm impressed. Apparently, didn't know about the Kubert one, so your research a little better than mine. That's okay too.
It's okay. It's all over. It's all over his blog there, man. Look, I was shocked. Wow. I didn't know it either because I have not followed I haven't bought Comics Review in decades. I haven't followed the strip. We don't get the strip. I don't get the newspaper anyway, and so
we haven't gotten the strip in years.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go back to the '80s since the time that our area got the strip. We're both from relatively southeast Louisiana.
That's right.
And the strip hasn't appeared in either Baton Rouge's and New Orleans paper since probably the '80s. So anybody that the Jim Keefe era, we never even saw. So this is brand spanking new to me.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And I was shocked by it.
Well, Jim Keefe did
Kubert, good God, and that was later.
Yeah,
this was Kubert in the 2000s, man. Not too long before a little bit long before. It was like 2003 he did this.
Yeah, 2002, yeah, probably, and that's probably because in 2003, King Features finally put an end to the strip. That was the end of Flash Gordon in the newspapers forever. It's gone.
Really? I didn't know it was that early. Didn't they reprint them? So wasn't somebody reprinting them, or?
It's possible that you could probably call King Features and ask to have certain
strips,
certain strips and stories redone. I mean, King Features is making money somehow because they hold on to that character and the rights to that character under lock and key like crazy. And it's, when you had a bunch of businessmen over at King Features and newspapers were big, I think that they did the character proud. Unfortunately, over time, the King Features doesn't really do anything anymore because there's no newspapers hardly left, and they're definitely not creating very many Sunday or new newspaper comic strips for strictly for newspapers. It just doesn't happen very often. So they have these licenses for these characters that they have the rights to, and they just hold on to them. And if you want to do the characters, you got to go to them. But and my understanding is they want a pretty penny to do them. And but unfortunately, it means we're not getting a lot of work. I saw that what was it? Marvel's 2-issue adaptation, or two. It wasn't even an adaptation. It was a 2-issue series that they did.
That one.
Yeah, I have both of those. Those are pretty fun. For no other reason than just because Alex Raymond. Yeah. Al Williamson did the artwork on it.
Yeah. Yes.
That was the only reason why I bought it.
There was one other thing, I guess, just because we're talking about Flash Gordon, just to mention, because in 86 years, and we've almost, superficially covered most of everything. That's bad. But like anything else, like any other character, like I don't care if it's Superman, if it's Batman, if it's Spider-Man, if it's whoever it is, they all have their bad things. We talked about a couple, but for me, you mentioned one that you thought was just horrific, and I'm so with you. For me, the biggest low for the character ever was this absolute turd of a TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel called, it was called Flash Gordon. I jokingly called it Steve Gordon because it was good God. If any of you saw that show, and I didn't even load a picture of it because screw that. I didn't even bother looking for a picture because why give it the time of day other than just to mention this was what now early aught somewhere in the 2000s maybe
2007. It ran 21 episodes.
Wow.
Starred
starred what was his name? Eric. He's a kid who played he played the football jock that was dating Lana at the beginning of Smallville. And this was after he left the show in like the second season. This was where he went. And, you know, honestly, I thought he could have been a decent Flash Gordon, but the production value on this thing, I mean, was pennies. I mean, there's no ships, there's no nothing, there's no forest, there's a lot of set pieces that you go from Earth to Mongo, and you'll get like maybe a CG computered background establishing shot for when you're on Mongo, and everybody moves through like portal tubes, and it's like like you're going to Apocalypse from Earth, you know, with Darkseid. And
oh boy,
and Ming doesn't look anything like Ming. He's got a full head of hair, and oh god, it's bad. It's really, really terrible. As bad as that one animated show is, this is that in live action, and it was really a disappointment. There have been since then talks of trying to get Flash Gordon back into the public conscious by doing another movie. I know Breck Eisner was attached to do a movie at one point. I would have loved to have seen it. He was also attached to do Creature of the Black Lagoon, which we never got. So I don't know if Breck just kind of disappeared, because I think he'd only done like one movie, and I can't even remember what it was at this point. But you know, it's just sat there in limbo, and nobody seems to know what to do with it, except for Dynamite Comics. Dynamite picked up the license.
Right, they're doing comics now, or they were, yeah.
In 2011, and mostly because you had Alex Ross doing covers for the for their characters that were all in the public domain. And then he is just a huge Flash Gordon fan, and was able to talk them into picking up the license from King Features to do a comic book. And Flash Gordon Zeitgeist came out and really played heavy on the 1980 movie, because he is probably the #1 fan of the 1980 Flash Gordon movie on this planet. It's no secret that, you know, he did the DVD and Blu-ray cover for the movie when it came out, and he helped in the sculpting of the action figures when they came out back in around that same time, 2011. So I think NECA was putting them out, or some company like that. And then they did this series, which, believe it or not, it's different from what we know as Flash Gordon, but it's not a bad little series. I haven't, since they did King's Whatever, when they restarted it, but this particular series that Jeff Parker and Doc Shaner did was a fun read, and it reads like Flash Gordon. It doesn't read exactly like Alex Raymond, doesn't read like Al Williamson or any of the strip guys, but it's not bad. I mean, if you're just desperate for some Flash Gordon, not even if you're desperate, it's a good read. But I can recommend it, at least, as you will have you'll get enjoyment out of reading it. But it's hard to say, oh yeah, this is the Flash Gordon you want. Now, there was a quick jaunt in 2009. Yeah.
Good.
2009. In 2009, a company called Arden Comics, or Arden Entertainment, picked up the license to do Flash Gordon comics, and that was the first time we had seen a Flash Gordon comic since that 2-part Al Williamson Marvel job. And somebody tried to do it in a sort of J. Scott Campbell style, only they're not J. Scott Campbell. And it's a lot of close-ups, but the person and the story may have been decent, but the storytelling in a graphic sense is so bad. And it's not that the guy can't draw, he doesn't know how to tell a story, and it wasn't very good. But no, this series right here is actually pretty solid, I thought. I don't know if you read it or what your thoughts on it are.
I did not. I started to pick it up. I like some things Jeff Parker has done from time to time. I didn't pick this up. Claude said something about they got kind of wokey with some of it, and I've heard some things at some point. I'm not saying it did. I'm just telling what he told me. And but I'm just not really avoided at that point. I was just kind of checking out of comics. And even though I kind of wanted to pick it up, I waited to hear what he said about it. So I've not. But that's just what Claude said. Again, I don't know if I agree. If I'm saying it's right, just saying it's what he said.
The original series is solid. At some point, they stopped the numbering on this, and then all of a sudden started adding sort of a King Features logo. Somehow it played into like a crossover with this and a few other titles that they had. I think that were all owned by King Features. And that doesn't read well at all. Not to me anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody else may have enjoyed it, and if you liked it, I'm glad you did. But it wasn't my cup of tea. This was actually I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait for the next Flash Gordon comics, but it was like, oh, it's the next issue's out. Okay, cool, I'll pick this up. Is an interesting design for the outfit. It's the first time I've seen somebody kind of get away from try to keep some semblance of the Flash Gordon aesthetic without really going into a retro, into that kind of retro feel for it.
Yeah.
And I thought it wasn't a bad job. I thought they did okay with it. Like I said, it wouldn't be my first recommendation. Right now, if you really want to get into a deep dive on Flash Gordon, I would suggest Titan put out about 7 volumes. And I think they're still doing them, and they're pretty thick. They're about $30 a pop, so they're not terribly expensive, and you can pick them up, and you can get most of the years of the strip. They haven't done all of the Dan Barry stuff yet. I think they're on Dan Barry now, but yeah, I mean, so you've got all the Ray Boy stuff, you've got all of the Alex Raymond stuff in there. Austin Briggs is there. Some of the Dan Barry stuff's in there, and I think they've done like 7 volumes at this point. And I think when Dan Barry picks up, they start the volume numbering over again because he was on it so long. He almost has to have his whole section.
2 of my most prized possessions were back in the 70s, early 70s. They did 2 big hardcover books of Alex Raymond, Flash Gordon and the Water World of Mars, Water World of Mongo, sorry. And I forgot what the other one was. The name was just Flash Gordon, but they were both gigantic books. They were $6.99 cover price. I'll tell you how old they are. I still have those 2 books. They're not in they're in good shape. The jacket is not in the greatest of shape, but they're in good enough shape. I have those, and of course, I've got some of the Checker books, some of the Ray Boy ones you're talking about, some of the Raymond ones, and yeah, it'll take forever to do the Dan Barry.
Well, they're covering quite a few. They're covering quite a few years in each volume. So, I mean, yeah, it'd take 10 volumes if they did 2 a year. It's gonna take 5 years to put them all out. But if you're a fan of the character, it's worth the investment. It's funny. There's an aesthetic that a science fiction aesthetic that comes along with a Flash Gordon or say a Buck Rogers that just you can't. I've seen it done in plenty of places, almost as parody, but not a lot of people actually do it for real. I think my love for something like Sky Captain: The World Tomorrow is the fact that it plays with that aesthetic.
I love that movie,
but it doesn't play it up for laughs or goofs. But that kind of retro futuristic science fiction before science fact started to catch up with science fiction, where it's just pure fantasy, is in that movie. And it was nice to see that taken so seriously. But most of the time you see it's just played up for straight goof. There was actually I think it was made for Showtime. It was probably one of the few parodies that I enjoyed. And the Ming the Merciless character was actually played by Ron Perlman. I can't even remember what it was called at this point. And then, of course, there's the porn parody.
We should mention Flash Gordon. You're right.
If you're talking about Flash Gordon, you got to discuss the parodies because it has been done so many times. And the most famous of all the parodies is Flash Gordon, which is what, I don't know, softcore porn almost, or just a really heavy duty TNA flick, really, by today's standards.
Yeah, I think so. Back then it was pretty raunchy, but yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I think that's what you would call it. Kind of. Been a long time since, and I mean, I'm sorry, I should say I've never seen it. That's what I was supposed to. That's what I meant to say. I know that the effects were done by Jim Danforth of all people, who worked on When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. He was a Ray Harryhausen acolyte, and
Yeah.
I do. That's what I remember most about it. Yes, I mean, that's the story.
I won't. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it here. But if you get a chance to see it, it's worth a view.
It's fine. Yeah.
Just to say you saw it and be like, wow, okay. That's
sure
the direction
I'm sure none of this crowd has seen Flash Gordon. I bet Shellback has Flash Gordon on tape, on VHS. Don't you, Shellback? Come on now. Thanks for popping in, Fitz. Good to see you, Shellback. RR is giving us some music there. Just a man with a man's courage, nothing but a man he could never fail. Well, we all love the Queen soundtrack on there. I had the 8-track of that, by the way. That's how old I am. Wore that sucker out. Of course, didn't take much to wear an 8-track out, by the way. But I'm just saying.
I had it on vinyl, and then I had it on tape. Now I have it on CD. So, and of course, it's in my rotation on my phone for one of my playlists. There's the vinyl. Where's that the CD?
Looks like a CD, but I can't remember. I just picked it because I always.
Actually, no. The way that
the music,
the way the title tracks are being separated out there. That's side 1, side 2. That's the vinyl.
Okay,
has to be.
I don't know if I ever had the vinyl. I think I just had the 8-track, but I'm not sure. But I have a CD. I have the CD now, but it's all one of the new CDs. Like it's all chopped up. But a friend gave it to me for his present recently. But long live Flash! You saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
Interesting to note that even though it is an official Queen album, the band was really only interested in doing the soundtrack for like 5 minutes. And then after that, they kind of became bored with the idea. And it was left up to Brian May to basically finish the album on his own, which is why there's it's very Brian May guitar heavy, which is not a bad thing. But he basically took the reins on that thing and got it to completion. Unlike, say, Highlander, where by that point everybody was pretty on board and was involved in that one from beginning to end. But this one was mostly Brian.
I could watch those opening credits forever. That mixed in with that music with those Alex Raymond comic strips. First time I went to the theater to see that, oh my God, dude! That was always a smart way to open up. There are 2 comic book movies that did it very well. That one and the original. The second Swamp Thing film, which may not have been very good. It wasn't, but those opening credits with Born on the Bayou, so in all those comics, that was pretty cool.
It is a guilty pleasure of mine that I love that movie.
But I love those opening credits to Flash Gordon. Yeah.
Well,
no, actually, Shellback, I was referring to Flesh Gordon, not Flash. But if you go ahead, I'm sorry. The
Return of the Swamp Thing, definitely a guilty pleasure. I thought the suit was better. Heather Locklear makes it better.
Well, yeah.
And then there's 2 kids in there that keep trying to snap a picture of Swamp Thing so that they can get rich. And these little kids, they're terrible actors, but they're so bad they're funny, especially the little redhead chubby kid. I love that kid. He's awesome. It's upsetting to. I want to get away from it now because the more I start talking about, the deeper the hole I dig for myself gets.
Oh God! Huh?
There has been there has been talk of another Flash Gordon movie. I don't know if we'll ever get it. We should. I would love to see. It would be great if we could get a group in Hollywood to look back at some of these pulp characters of the 30s and 40s and strip characters of that time period and really decide to give us some amazing films on. We almost got a Sam Raimi Shadow movie and he couldn't get the rights, so we got Darkman, which is You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not a
true.
bad consolation prize.
I would rather have him done the Shadow than that Russell Mulcahy idiot who did Highlander 2, who did that. The Alec Baldwin Shadow really aggravates me as a Shadow fan. I really have a lot of problems with it.
Yeah,
RN,
there's,
take it easy. RN Feliciano, thank you for coming by, sir. Thank you, and have a good one.
but I would love for James Cawley, who did a really nice fan film of Star Trek, and actually had some of the cast in it. I think Walter Koenig was in it. James Doohan was in it. He was working on doing a Buck Rogers fan film, and he had a hell of a teaser poster of a Buck Rogers rocket flying through the clouds. And he had actually did some filming where Buck was a little bit younger, and we see Buck's parents, and Buck's parents are played by Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray. And this was just stuff that he had released on his website. And God, it's probably been 10 years since I've seen those clips, but it never saw the light of day, and it made me sad that we didn't. And you know, there's been talk of Buck Rogers, been talk of Flash Gordon. There's been talk of a Doc Savage movie. I'd love to see all three of these, and you know, to see them before I die, if they could actually do these characters justice on the big screen, would just please me knowing.
I'm with you, dude, but I agree with it. What again? This first thing that popped into mind is what both Shellback and my buddy Jobber, Just Joe 47, said. It would be if you could do it without wokeifying it. I'm there. I want it, but I know you think you agree. I know you don't want it woke either. I'm not saying you thought it would. I'm just saying that, yes, in a perfect world, yes, but we both know right now. Whew, good God, no.
I have everything has its day, and this mindset's day is going to end, because if not, then I mean, Hollywood doesn't seem to understand that when it comes to the genre fans, us, the geeks of the world, we're good for the money. And not only that, but we're starting to have real influence over normal people that go to see these movies. And not only that, and our legion is growing as the normies are figuring this stuff out, especially as the course of the summer has come about, and a lot of these people have really. It was a Gina Carano posted this week. It says that the world is not ending. It's just that the veil of corruption is finally lifted, and we can see who the dirty players are. And
I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I reposted it on Facebook, and I'm just kind of like, at some point, the levee's going to break, and either Hollywood's going to financially burn itself down if they want to go down with the ship, or they're going to start making movies to make money again. And you know, it's up to them. I don't care either way. I would love to see a Flash Gordon movie. I'd love to see all this great stuff that could happen. But you know, if they want to go down with the ship with this kind of ideology, then I'll sit back and chuckle as I watch it go down, like the Hindenburg, and and say, well, that was that, and then I'll go make my own shit. You know?
Well, look, dude, I'm totally with you. I want to see it done in a not woke fashion. It would be very nice. And look, please let it happen. I hope it does. But for example, I keep hearing these rumors, and I don't believe in them really. That what's it? Taiki Woke Titty, is our buddy Doomcock calls him, doing a remake of the Sam Jones, the Dino De Laurentiis Flash Gordon film.
No, what was Disney was looking to do a CG animated version of Flash, and Taika Waititi was looking to produce and direct the film. And if it was done in sort of a Pixar fashion, that could be interesting. But to my knowledge, the plans to do that have been scrapped. And what has caused a lot of the plans to do a lot of this stuff to find its way to the wastebasket has been COVID. And COVID mixed with ideology is crushing Hollywood right now. They don't even understand how bad, you know, it's a Wonder Woman, Warner Brothers pushing Wonder Woman back to Christmas may have actually been a death nail in the cinema, in the world of cinema. And they don't even realize it because they're like, well, we just need to wait till the audience is comfortable enough to go back to the movie theater to go see movies again, because obviously the theaters aren't filling up for Tenet. The problem isn't maybe partially in certain areas. I think the area we live in, people are pretty much over it. Because I mean, I go to the store, and the people that wear masks seem to do so only because they feel obligated to do so, and in many places they don't even bother.
They make you here. They make you got to walk in with one here.
Yeah, but in a lot of places, if they're not forcing you to wear a mask, people aren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
And a lot is like, well, we have a mandate saying that you have to, but we want your business really bad, and if you don't wear it in there, we're not going to sit here and tell you got to go or you have to put a mask on. But you know, the movie theaters have been opened up here for months, and we haven't had a spike. You know, restaurants have been open for I think almost 2-3 months. We haven't had a spike. So with that in mind, it's just kind of, yeah, I'm done. You know, I'm ready to get back to go to the movies, but you got to give me a movie I want to go see. And when people come out of Tenet and say, well, some of them, it was okay. It wasn't his best. And it was really kind of convoluted and kind of hard to follow, which may or may not be the case. You know, these could be Luddites going to see the movie and just not understand the story. I don't know. And then some people are complaining about the track, the sound on it, saying that the sound editing choices for this film were a little on the unusual side, which would not be a first for Chris Nolan film. If anybody remembers, they had to go back and redo Bane completely because you couldn't understand a word he was saying for The Dark Knight Rises. And with that in mind, it's like, you know, this wasn't the movie to do it, but you have Wonder Woman, which made $800 million, and a lot of people ready to go see the second one. And this could be the movie that could open up the floodgates. And you still got, I mean, it's another month before you have to put it out, and which will bring us, you know, even further away from this time, and hopefully things will start getting even better. And then you cancel it. So there's nothing coming to the movie theater right now until November. So you got 2 months of no new movies. Tell me how that's going to help out the theaters. Because it's, you know, you say, well, we're going to push these movies back until next year. And it's like, that's going to be great. But if you have no movie theaters to put them in, who cares? You know, you're going to have to go to streaming because you're going to collapse your financial distribution system by killing the movie theaters because you don't want to put a movie out. And I think that's kind of where they really are at, and they don't seem to understand that.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. We'll get what I think Gerard. Gerard does a lot of cons, Shellback. I don't know where you're. And I see him at a bunch of cons. So yeah, now
last I heard, he
all
lost.
The cons are closed up.
Yeah, last I heard, he lost a bunch of weight and looked pretty good. For a while there, I was starting to worry about his health.
Yeah,
he was because he was in the Burt Reynolds vein of strapping lad or strapping man at a time when you know, guys with a little bit of hair on them that were kind of you know, men's men, you know, of the swinging 70s there.
yeah,
he was definitely a men among men. Gil Gerard was.
love him. Love Buck Rogers. My buddy Jobber says that he watched Tenet and IMAX. He agrees with Jeremy and Geeks and Gamers that the sound mix gets frustrating. Too bad, he says, but he liked it. He still, my buddy Jobber liked it. So there you go. And I've heard a lot of people say similar things there, Job. So I got you, man. I hear you. Some like it, some don't. But it's been kind of a mixed thing I've heard. So it's not something I was going to go see anyway. But a lot of people were looking forward to that. Theaters and local comic shops are killed by the distribution. Yeah, well, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's one theater in town. I mean, the two major theaters in town, I can't even support right now because they're not putting a whole lot out for me to go see. We have a Cinemark here in town that at least is running really cool old movies. So, you know, I took my kid to go see Raiders not long ago. They do the Fathom events. I took him to see the end of the Tennant era of Doctor Who in the movie theater. And then, then I was with you. I saw you there when we went to when they ran Wrath of Khan. And
that's right. Yeah, I love that place.
I took him to see ET, and that movie theater is working hard to try to keep the doors open. And they do a good job of keeping it clean too. So I think tomorrow there's a 240 feature I'm going to take my kid to go see. He wants to go see Jurassic Park. He's never seen it on the big screen. I was like, you want to see it?
Oh, there you go. Good. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I want to go back. I might try to go see Raiders if it's still back, if it comes back.
Yeah.
Again, even though I've seen it on the big screen zillions of times, it'd be fun. So yes. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. Getting back to our topic of discussion here.
Yes, sir.
If you were to cast it today, how would you cast this thing? Who would you have?
I would probably go the. You know, I was about to say that give the usual cop out for the unknown for Flash Gordon, but you know who I would pick? I would pick Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Flash Gordon, big, tall, blonde dude, athletic, all that kind of stuff. Has comedic chops, but I wouldn't go MCU crazy funny with him because he can do it all.
Yeah.
And you want Flash to have some personality. So for Flash Gordon, that's probably who I would pick. You could argue for Chris Evans, I guess. I know those are two standard answers. But if you're picking a known, those are probably two of the guys I might go for the role of Flash Gordon. You?
I might suggest Chris Hemsworth's brother Liam would not be a bad casting for the character either. But I actually started kind of looking around and was like, who would I get? And I would say he's an unknown. But if you're a genre fan and if you follow this show, at least at the beginning, it was a good show. A guy by the name of Rick Cosnett. And you may not know the name, but if you've watched the show, you would definitely know what I'm talking about. Season 1 and season 2 of The Flash, the current CW show. And it was a good show when it started. It really was. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And it still has its moments, but it's lost a lot of its charm as Greg Berlanti has lost a lot of his ability to tell a story. But Rick Cosnett played Eddie Thawne.
I remember,
Iris's boyfriend at the start. And he was good. I was looking, like, he would probably be my pick for Flash at this point. Because
I remember him.
Because I think he's good looking enough, charming enough. He's got enough age on him to look like a man, not like a grown boy. But he hasn't even gotten to the age of 40 yet. I think he's like 37. And I think his acting chops are good enough that he could pull it off. So, I mean, it's not like it's a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to the acting on this thing. And he's athletically built enough to be able to do whatever the character is required to do, I think. For Dale, who would you get to be Dale?
Man, it's going to sound like such patriarchy, but I don't have a strong feeling on Dale one way or the other. There are a lot of those that can do it. She's never been the most nuanced of characters. Let's be honest. I love Melanie Anderson, by the way. I met her. She's a really nice lady, by the way.
I'm sure.
Yeah, she was a real sweet lady. Any lovely lady that is a competent actress can do it. Ming's an interesting casting.
I know who I cast. No. Give me yours because I'm gonna spout mine out from here to the heavens that whoever you pick is wrong and mine is absolutely correct.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get it wrong so you can go ahead and correct me. My pick for Ming would be Hugo Weaving.
Okay. Yeah, not my pick.
All right. Let me see how wrong yours is. Just kidding.
Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Well, I'd argue with you, but I'd have to know who it is first.
All right. If you saw Rising Sun with Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery, he was Fast Eddie. If you saw the Mortal Kombat movies, he was the ultimate villain in Shang Tsung. You've seen him everywhere. In Pearl Harbor, he was with the amount of artistic license that Michael Bay took. He was the one that says, I think we just woke a sleeping giant in that particular movie, even though his character in real life wasn't the one who said it. But he's been on loads of television. If you look him up and find a picture of him, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know who he is. But he would be absolutely perfect for Ming. Not only that, but it's called Mongo. So you would think somebody of Chinese descent would be somebody that you would want to have. And I think and he may, you know what? That may be me projecting, because I don't even know that he's Chinese. He may be Japanese or of Asian descent, at least, to play the role of Ming. Nobody's Asian has ever played Ming. And and I feel like it's a character that should be played Asian, or could be played Asian.
They wouldn't let it happen now for sure, but yeah.
Well, you don't know. It's like if you don't put him in, then you're whitewashing. But if you do put him in, then you're culturally appropriating him. So which way do you go?
Yeah. Well, it can't be the villain. Yeah, but well, I don't think Max von Sydow was, as you said, neither he nor Charles Middleton were Asian.
No, he would be the first Asian to play the character of Ming. For Dale, I actually thought about. You remember the theatrical film of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I can't stand it, so I couldn't stand to look at it for very long. I love it. I'm a purist on the British version, but go ahead.
I can appreciate that, but Zoe Deschanel is not hard on the eyes.
Oh, I know her. Okay, I know her though. Yeah, I like her. Yeah,
I think she'd make a great Dale. I actually think Liam Neeson as Dr. Zarkov would be good.
Okay,
he's not as old. Well,
I mean, a little young. Sorry, maybe you want an older dude. No, no argument though. Sounds worse.
Liam Neeson, dude, he may look good for his age. Liam Neeson's pretty damn old.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with it. I mean,
he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
No, he's in his 60s. I think he'd be about perfect for that. I picture Zarkov as somebody being in his late 50s to mid to late 60s in that time period. I think he's right there.
What about Sebastian Stan for Baron?
Not bad. Yeah, I picked Orlando Bloom because I just thought he kind of had the Robin Hood look to him.
Okay.
And he's a solid enough actor to do it. For Voltan, I have Gerard Butler.
That could actually work. You could probably do it. I mean, he wouldn't be Brian Blessed, but who is, right? So,
but playing large and bombastic, I've seen it. I mean, we've all seen him do it as Leonidas, and I don't think it's a big jump to go from Leonidas to Voltan. I just
I think, hey man, it could happen. It could work. Yeah, I like it.
Now, I am a firm believer that if they do a Flash Gordon movie, you've got to put Thune of the Lineman in this thing. Because we've never had it, and we've gotten to the point now where the CGI is to the point to where
you can have Thune. Yeah, I
think you get either a body actor to he'd be a CG character basically.
Yes.
I would get the great voice actor Kevin Michael Richardson to do the voice, because who else would you get to do Thune? Who else could do Thune?
Andy Serkis and a.
I want somebody that's got a little gravitas. I mean, and unfortunately, what's his name is no longer with us. I think he was a 3 name with Michael. Oh God, what's his name? Green Mile.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, he would have done a good voice for Thune, but he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
So Kevin Michael Richardson, and not only that, Kevin Michael Richardson is a trained voice actor, and if you're going to do a CG character, get a great voice actor to do it. No reason to do necessarily celebrity casting for it. He makes a career out of this. And for Princess Aura, Alexandra Daddario.
Sounds familiar. What do I know her from? If I know her,
just look her up on the internet, dude.
What was it? For Flash Hopper. You're talking about that idiot, David. What's that guy's name? He's talking about from Stranger Things, the big dude. The guy isn't Hopper the sheriff. I only watched the first season of Stranger Things, dude. I don't like that.
David
Harbour. Hellboy 2. I mean, the new Hellboy. He says it's Flash.
Oh God, no. No, A too old, and B just
Leonidas to Voltan, perfect jump. I agree with that, Shellback. I think that works. Jared Butler. I mean, I'd have to put like on a big dude suit, and he could do it because he's not really as big a dude as you think he is anymore, probably. But
well,
yeah,
and
it works.
I don't necessarily have to have a Voltan that's barrel chested either. You know, I just need the leader of the Hawkmen to be loud and bombastic. That's a trait that has stuck with that character
Eddie
since.
McClintock. Go ahead.
Anyway, but bombastic Voltan has stuck with him since the old serials. I mean, he's always been that way. So I can't see anybody else being able to be that loud and that
yeah. No, I got you.
That over the top. But Alexandra Daddario, they did these two Percy. She was young in these movies, but these two Percy Jackson Lightning Thief movies. She played the girl in the movie. Beautiful girl. You can see as much of her as you want on the internet, and has these crystal blue eyes that you could get lost in. It's pretty amazing.
Who did you pick as Flash again, by the way?
Rick Cosnett.
Okay, if you can, I'll try to find a picture of him then, because Shellback wants to see picture. I thought I went the easy route. I went Chris Hemsworth, possibly Chris Evans, since they're the big square-jawed hero, big hero type and stuff. But he went kind of behind the scenes on me, did Mark. So I'll have to find a picture on him, but I will if you give me his name again.
Rick, and his last
Rick.
name is spelled Cosnett.
No. Yes. Cosnett. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm game. If you will take the reins here while I do that, while I find it.
Yeah. But
okay, I see. Yeah.
I think he would be a good choice. Like I said, I think he's got we're not looking for an Oscar winner here. He just has to be able to be a competent actor and can do the physical stuff. I mean, I love Flash, but
gotta be physical.
It's got to be physical, but we're not talking about a super deep character here. I'm not looking to Flash Gordon and Shakespeare in the same sentence are not the same.
Well, he's probably I love old Sam J now after the years because he's a really cool dude, but there's probably a much more accomplished actor than. By the way, Sam J. Jones, we should point out, has played two classic comic strip characters, not just Flash Gordon. He's played the Spirit, so give him some credit for that, which we did not point out earlier. So yeah. For those who do not know, yes, there was a TV movie called of the Spirit, the Will Eisner character, and good old Sam J. Jones played him, and he was not dubbed over for that one.
No, and it is much more faithful to the comic book than the film was.
Idris Elba's. Yeah, well, look, Idris Elba's Flash. That would be a funnier joke if there wasn't probably the probability these days, Jobber. Because Benedict Cumberbatch is Baron. Jesus Christ.
Actually, if he had blonde hair, Henry Cavill would be a great Flash Gordon. If you get, I'm just
Cavill.
Yeah.
Well, they just cast Tom Hardy as James Bond. I won't go too deep, but I'm just saying I'd rather had Cavill any day than Tom Hardy. But then again, I didn't like Daniel Craig, and most people did. James Blonde, not my bag, really. So, what are you gonna do?
Really? Wait, did that drop today?
Yesterday. Tom Hardy's the next one. Yep.
Really? I'll have to look that up. I didn't catch that.
It was I saw it last night sometime. I was shocked. I'm like, okay, guys, sure, whatever you want to do. And it doesn't matter what I think, but all right, man. Yeah.
Well, it also depends on where you get your information from too, because
it's all over the net. It's true.
Well, it's all over the net that Henry Cavill signed a 3-picture deal from for Superman. But that came from we got this covered in a couple of other places, and until there is a certain amount of rumor mill that it's just like I hear it and it's like that would be great. I hope it's true, but usually there is a certain amount of waiting for some of the regular trades to spill the beans on.
No, there's a lot of sources though.
But when it comes to casting, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, someplace like that.
It was there in a couple of those, but I mean, again, look, I hope it's not true. If you were telling me right now, guess what? It turned out it's not true. I'm gonna go good. Not that I care much, but
yeah,
I would go. Yeah, I hope not.
No, I'd rather see him do another Mad Max movie, and this time make it about Mad Max.
Here's your Flash. There's the Flash for casting of Flash Gordon. Coincidentally, from a show called Flash that he saw him on. There you go. The young man is probably in his, I guess, probably close to 30 now, I'm sure.
He's 37.
Oh, okay.
40.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is probably in a bit older picture, I'm sure. Okay, they're saying now it's a rumor. Look, if it is, more power to you. I don't like it. I think it's a stupid casting. I mean, I think he's a good actor. Nothing against Tom Hardy. But as Bond, I don't know.
There's a certain amount.
Daily Mail. Oh, now they're calling it a rumor. All right, good. Please be a rumor that is not true. Not that I care, because I don't like Daniel Craig. But it is all over, though.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It's just something that I missed. It would not surprise me that some of these things get floated out there as either rumors or possible truths from the studios, just to garner the fan reaction and see what we think and whether or not they want to go with, yes, this is happening, or no, this isn't happening. I mean, I think I remember when Christian Bale was cast to be Batman. I think that's how it actually probably went, but we were all pretty excited that Bale was going to be Batman, especially after seeing.
Yeah, we have this many, and they're not. Only a few actually have the decency to say rumor. That's aggravating. When it's 2 or 3 suckers and they're all saying rumor, okay. Then I'd say, hey, did you hear that rumor about so-and-so? But if I did at all. But a lot of them aren't prefacing their remarks with that. To the credit of some, they do. So that's real. And it's all over the damn place. But I guess it wouldn't respond. So look, please don't be true rumor. For me, not that I care, because this will be the first time since 1973 that I will not be going to see a movie that allegedly has James Bond in it with this new one. Just me.
Well, and while you're looking up people, look up Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa. C-A-R-Y.
Okay, but Henry Cavill or Michael Fassbender is the next. But I could see either one. I like Cavill for that. Let's see here.
Yeah,
he'll work. Shellback likes your pick for Flash, I think. Yeah, look, Gustin's better than Ezra Miller, that's for sure. But when I think Barry Allen, I don't really think of him either. But then I love comics, and I don't like very many. Sometimes when they cast a character, but Gustin's okay. I watched the first 2 seasons of Flash. I'm not going either, Eastland. They can take no time, what is it, No Time to Die or whatever? I disagree. It is a time to die. That series franchise needs to die. So
I was on board until I heard that Phoebe Waller-Bridge had been brought in to punch up the script, and I'm like, here we go.
Who am I looking for?
Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
With a oh my God, I don't know how to write that out. With a C?
With a C. C-A-R-Y.
Oh man. Dash. I didn't expect homework today. Go ahead.
Ed. H-I-R-O.
H-I-R-O.
Y-U-K-I.
Y-U-K-I. Oh, there he is. Good. Thank you, stupid Google. Let's find a picture of this man. This is our Ming the Merciless.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've seen that guy all over the place. I just know his damn name. All right.
Yep. I told you
he could do it. There's no way in hell they would cast him today as Ming. And Ming is an alien, and he doesn't really have to be Asian, but he can be. It doesn't matter. I mean, he's not Fu Manchu, but I got you.
No. But it's
sort of based on him, though, in a way.
There's a reason why it's called Mongo, and they're yellow. In the old Alex Raymond strip.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean,
they're supposed to be Mongolian in kind of a backhanded way.
True.
So why not cast a nation?
Right. You and we're casting in Hollywood if we're pretending there's a sanity. Where you could cast anybody in anything, and they're actors that can play anything. I got you. No, I'm good. And all that matters is if they're an actor, and they can play anything. in our little scenario. I got you. So
Mhm.
let's see. And okay, all right. Let's see here. This is Ming. Everyone, I had to find him there. I could have just done the screen share thing, but this is always better because you can see it better. Screen thing's annoying sometimes on the StreamYards. Did you cast Baron yet?
Orlando Bloom.
Oh, you did, yeah. I don't know, man. Is Baron? I don't think he has the kind of personality. Do you think?
I look for obviously Baron of the Treeman is very inspired by the Robin Hood legend in my mind.
True enough.
And so I look for somebody who I think is more who resembles to me something along the lines of an Errol Flynn. And I think Orlando Bloom's probably the closest thing we've got to that today. It doesn't have to be, but I mean, I look at when I look at Timothy Dalton, I especially as with the mustache and how it was doing their damnedest to try to make him be as Errol Flynn as possible at the time.
Well, this dude could be Bing if he could be Bing, that's for sure. It would work. It would work.
Yeah, he would absolutely. That's him as Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. He's a little older today, but yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think he would be a great Ming.
Yeah. You know what I said when I first saw Max von Sydow as Ming? I said, Jesus Christ. Sorry, it's a bad pun. Get it. He played Jesus in the movie. Never mind. I couldn't help it.
No, I got it.
Yeah. He played Jesus in the greatest story ever told.
Mm-hmm.
Was it not? Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dalton was, man, look, I'm a big fan of Timothy Dalton anyway. That dude he was on Nash Bridges, this guy?
Yeah, I believe it was actually.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Well, like we said, on this planet, you could cast the dude because you think he's awesome, and that's it. It would be the end of it.
Yeah,
so.
But unfortunately, you're not going to get You're not going to be able to cast anyone for Flash Gordon unless they were a black trans midget.
Right. Yes.
In a wheelchair.
Well, everybody likes your choice for Ming there, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
I still think Hugo Weaving would be a good choice, but I wouldn't argue with this one. Weaving's too good though.
I've seen him in makeup that makes him look a little more like that in Cloud Atlas. So yeah, I can see it. But
this dude or Weaving?
Weaving.
I've not seen that. Okay.
It's a Wachowski, I guess, siblings movie they call them now.
Oh, is it really a sibling? It's a siblings film. I got you. Yeah.
And so so it's him and Halle Berry, I think, are the leads, and it's I don't know how else to say it.
You guys are problematic. Why does Flash Gordon have to be a guy all the time? Why could a girl be named Flash?
Yeah. Well, let's say unless it's we needed a black trans midget in a wheelchair.
Oh, they would settle for a girl though. They would settle.
Yeah,
for
but this would cover everything. If we had a black trans midget in a wheelchair, we've got all the bases covered.
You'd be bulletproof. Nothing can be criticized. Yeah, yes, sir. But I still love this dude, Max von Sydow. He was I don't know. He wasn't really even that old at this point. Great actor.
Yeah, no, he's a very good actor. It was around that same time he did a movie, a Stallone movie with Michael Caine and Pele called Victory.
Oh yeah,
that is how we knew it in the States, but I think it actually had a longer title internationally, Escape to Victory or something like that.
Yes, sir.
He was the German in that movie. He was a German in that movie, but if you guys get a chance, by all means, go out and get the Buster Crabbe serials on DVD. They're worth owning. generally you can find copies of them, you know, at a reasonable price. I don't think they've ever been remastered for Blu-ray yet, which is a bummer. They should be. It'd be great if they were to go back and remaster them in 4K, but I don't even know if anybody still has the original prints of this stuff anymore, if they even exist.
By the way, Jopper, yes, we did earlier talk about Defenders of the Earth with Flash Gordon, the Phantom, and Mandrake. And I didn't never watched it a whole lot, but Mark has seen it more than I have. Were you a fan of that show, Jopper? A lot of people were. I think my buddy, our retroblasting pals are fans of it. Of course, I think he's done some videos about it, if I'm not mistaken, or at least he's talked about it.
I was a fan of it in the sense that it kept the Flash Gordon name alive. And I love the Phantom as well. So it was a fun pairing. It was an odd pairing, but it was a fun pairing to have both of them, both of their names to be brought up in pop culture at the time. And again, you know, I kind of saw it sort of a quasi sequel to the Filmation show in the fact that Flash and Dale are older and now have a kid.
Dirk Benedict. Benedict, yeah. No, yeah, I hear you. Of course, the Phantom could fly for some reason.
Defenders of the Earth.
Defenders of the Earth. And the Phantom's daughter. That's right, the Phantom's daughter was in it. Yeah, the Ghost Who Flies. Yeah. So
yeah, it was almost like you had all these great heroes, and then we're gonna do kind of a Johnny Quest show with them, and it always seemed like they were they were always out trying to stop Ming, but at the same time, in doing so, wound up having to save the kids and or Dale, because Dale would go trudging off after the kids, and she'd wind up getting in the trap with them. And Dale was blonde for some reason, as I recall.
Yeah, there you go.
But 65 episodes. I mean, it doubles the take of the old Filmation Flash Gordon.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure an absolute Flash Gordon find all kinds of faults with the way we did it and find all kinds of stuff we didn't mention. But I do believe we got a lot in there. Again, even though it's been around 86 years, he didn't have anywhere near the kind of exposure that characters like Superman or today, whose day is dedicated to him, Batman. Today's Batman Day, according to DC. And yet look at us revolutionaries doing Flash Gordon instead of Batman. But yeah, he didn't have anywhere near the kind of exposure, or status that those characters did, but he's managed to hang around. Look, he's still hanging in there in some manner, shape, or form. And
well, that's kind of why you'd like to see a new movie of it. It's just to get the character back out in the pop culture, become, hopefully maybe become at least for 5 minutes big again. It'd be great to see that. I don't know. I've met Dirk Benedict. I don't know if he could play Bing. He's a pretty small dude.
I've met him. He's a good dude. Yeah. He's old.
Yeah, I had a great experience with him. I've heard other people have had rough experiences with him, but which saddens me because mine actually was beyond good, because I brought up a movie he had done that I may have been one of maybe 5 people who actually heard of it. It was called Ruckus, and it's kind of a First Blood type movie before First Blood existed. I think it came out like 2 years before it. Stars him and Linda Blair and Ben Johnson. Yes, the Ben Johnson of Hollywood cowboy fame. And it was a fun little movie. It even has a nice scene of he's a Vietnam vet who's way down on his luck, and Linda Blair tries to help him out, and then the town wants him gone, and have a nice scene. We get a dirt bike scene with him, just like we do in First Blood. So
there you go. Good, I'm sure.
And I brought that up to him when I saw him, and he could not believe that anybody even remembered that movie. So
I've had that experience with some actors before, and I had a lot of fun with him too. And so did Michael and Melinda, Live Retroblasting fame. We got to hang out with him quite a bit, and he was very taken. Surprisingly, not surprisingly at all, by the way, at all. And that was a fun experience I should tell you about sometimes. But in our Mike and Mark produced Flash Gordon film that we are totally in charge of, even though I'm obviously letting you handle the casting, my only stipulation is when we make it, it will have to be very retro, and we will have to have ships that look like, in some cases, look just like the rocket ship stuff, very close to the rocket ship looking stuff that we saw in the animated series, and it would be very throwbackish in that sense.
I'm down for going as far back as into Alex Raymond. You know, one of the guys that never worked on Flash Gordon at all, and I've brought him up several times, is Wallace Wood.
Yes.
He never worked on Flash, but he had that that understood that aesthetic, that science fiction aesthetic of retrofuturistic, you know, vibe, that, you know, stuff. It's the reason why I love Sky Captain as much as I do, is it has that vibe to it. And yeah, no, if you're not going to do a retro version of it and you're going to update it, then you're wasting your time. I don't want to see Buck Rogers that way. I've already gotten one like that in the 70s. I don't want to see Flash Gordon done that way. And there was one thing when Shane Black was attached to do the Doc Savage movie that made me excited, is somebody asked him, it's like, are you going to update Doc Savage? And he says, you can't take Doc out of the 30s. And I'm just like, okay, I'm all right with this guy doing the movie then.
Exactly.
And, because he seemed to understand that there's an aesthetic that needs to be there. And for all the faults that the Shadow movie has to Alec Baldwin, there's things they got right. It just bad script and terrible dialogue is probably the worst part about it. But from an aesthetic point of view, I have a soft spot for the movie. It's not my favorite, but I enjoy it.
Well, the Dino film, directed by Mike Hodges, is very much that look, really. And
yeah,
that's that's close as at least somewhere along that vein, maybe even more so retro. But yeah, somewhere like that, you know, would be, well, someone with that aesthetic type of feel to it that understands it.
Rocket ships, ray guns, and jetpacks, man. That's what I want. You know, I want as much science fiction, rocket ships, ray guns. That's what the comic I'm working on now. That's what it is. You know, it's because, like I said, nobody does this without doing it for parody. And it's so hard to find anybody to treat that era of science fiction with any respect. And it needs some love. It needs some big time love. And I was really hoping when Sky Captain came out, it was going to be a huge hit, so that would be at least a flavor for at least a couple of years, and maybe somebody would okay a Flash Gordon movie or a Buck Rogers movie, and it would come out with that kind of aesthetic. There was a company called, what were they? Go Hero? And they were an action figure company, but they made, like, I think they were a little taller. They were like 1 foot, somewhere between Mego size and Sideshow size. And they had done an figure for Buck Rogers with like the leather vest and the bubble dome helmet and the jetpack with the wings on it, and his atomic blaster and or atomizer, depending on who you talk to. And then they also did a Buster Crabbe Flash Gordon figure where he's got the big studded collar that goes like halfway down his chest, the light blue shirt with the lightning bolt underneath it, and the black pants and boots. And it was a really nicely done figure. Even the sculpt on the face was very, very much Buster Crabbe. I was really impressed with it, but they were $100, $150 to start, and it's just like, wow, it's hard to. Now, if you find them, they're somewhere in the $400 to $500 range, and you know, I have to give it my kid.
Yeah, I hear you there. Love it, man. Well, that's great stuff. Well, look, by the way, this is one day we need to do a deep dive Doc Savage show, because he's a great character that will never. They need to stay away from him though, because they'll just ruin. I mean, they can ruin them all. But in our perfect world, this could be nice. The Rock could have been the guy to play him, they say, I guess.
It's still on the books, to my knowledge. I don't know if it'll happen, but to my knowledge, it's still on the books. I mean, it's been on his radar for less time than Black Adam has, and that's finally coming to fruition. So maybe it'll happen. Who knows? Yeah. It would be. At one time, I thought Chris Maloney, who did the Law and Order Special Victims Unit, could play a good Doc Savage, but he's getting a little old to do it now. And you know, in his heyday, he was pretty athletic looking dude. But as he gets older, he's you You know, he was the military general in Man of Steel. That was like, this man is not our enemy. So I thought he could pull off a Doc Savage. He's a good actor, and you know, given a nice hairpiece to do the widow's peak and everything. And I want the Obama look. I don't want the 30s look to Doc with the I want the big widow's peak with the slick back hair, or I don't know. Depending on how I've read it, it's either his hair or it's like a helmet that he puts on, and it just depends on which version of Doc you want to read about, because you know, this is all done after Robeson did the books. Was it Robeson did the books? I can't remember.
Well, Lester Dent wrote them under the name of Kenneth Robeson.
Yeah, you know, the character didn't have any of that at the time, so you know, that all came from Obama much later on, and everyone's been trying to justify either a human being having that hair or is it some sort of helmet that he wears. So, yeah, Ray Boy wasn't bad. I just don't think he was. Looking
he was
at
more
comment there.
It was more. He was more indeed, he was more suited to Captain Marvel Jr., but he was a great artist.
Yeah.
So, well, look, we got a couple hours in talking about Flash Gordon, and no one said except once in the chat, which is pretty amazing. I mean, very well done. Well, I mean, for them, you know, I can't say I did a good job, but I know you did. And that's all that matters. So, look, dude, I guess anything else closing remarks about the wonderful character of Flash Gordon? We've talked about pretty much most of it. We've at least skimmed over most of it for sure, and we've even started our own production of a film. So,
absolutely, I think these things should be off the ground by now. Why aren't we in front of a camera?
We'll get there, man. It's going to happen. And I would recommend. One thing I would finish with recommending, if any of you if you like animated films, and again, if you'd like Flash Gordon and anything like that, I cannot stress enough, and because Mark has said it a few times before, go to YouTube, find Flash Gordon, The Greatest Adventure of All. Watch that TV movie on there. It's a good copy on there. You will
it's
not
as close
be
to
sorry.
reading the old Alex Raymond news strips as comic strips as possible. It really is, and it's well produced. And yeah, I would go, if I were you, I'd go watch it as soon as we get off of here. It's by far the best. If you want to get some for your house, man, you know, the Buster Crab cereals, and then of course Titan is putting out some massive collection books. There's like 7 of them now. They're up to Dan Barry, and they've got the first Dan Barry volume out, and that's probably the most complete version of Flash Gordon to ever be done. There is Flesk Productions or Publications put out a book of all of Al Williamson stuff. It is long out of print. If you find it, you're probably independent and you want to buy it, you're probably independently wealthy, because it cost a pretty penny.
I gotcha. Well, Shellback, hey man, I may hate Man of Steel, but it's okay that you like Man of Steel, because I like you, partner, and I'm glad you showed up to see us, man. You're a stand-up dude. You're the dude, man. I want to thank everyone who was here with us tonight. Everyone who popped in. Our good buddy Latino Slant, Polly, popped in earlier. The beautiful Purple Valkyrie also popped in earlier. It was great to see her. My great old friend Jobber, Eastland Burkholder, my good friend. Thank you, RR. I'm so pleased and honored that you showed up. My good new buddy Shellback TGC. Kai stopped in earlier. It's Kai, if you're still here, if you're still around, thank you. I'm honored. I'm hoping I'm covering everyone. You know my memory, brother, but so I could be missing someone. I don't mean to. Again, Jobber, did I get Jobber? Everyone who popped in, and everyone who came and hang out with us, I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, Minimus was here. That's right. AKA Claude stopped in for a while there. Minimass was here. Anyone who has listened to this while live, I thank you. If you're listening to this later on a download or on stream, on an archive, old BTR lingo that I'm still not used to ditching. I really do appreciate it. Please, if you even if you didn't really like it, give us a like, and a sub anyway, just because you feel sorry for us. That'll work. We don't mind. take it any way we can get it. And
And
please
if you have anybody who's a friend out there who likes this kind of stuff and thinks that our conversations would be of interest, try to get them in here and get them the sub. We need to get Mike to 1,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. YouTube has a new rule now where if you don't reach 1,000 subscribers by a certain point, all of the work that you've done, all the hours of content you've created, no longer go towards getting you monetized.
Oh boy.
You have to hit the mark within a certain time where they send you back to 0 on your hours. Now, I would imagine it'd be a case where you could get your 1,000 subscribers and then you basically have to start from scratch with your or close to it to get your time in. So I don't know what the time is, what the time frame they give you, how many, if it's a year, if it's 2 years, or what the deal is on that. This is something that just popped up within the last week, but it's
shit. Yeah.
I would imagine that they're probably handing out some pretty hefty checks, and maybe they're finding some problems getting ad revenue just because of the way the world we live in is now. At least at the moment, that so they're trying to find ways to minimize the number of people who are going to be monetized, and at least in the future. And that be the case, we need to get you monetized as quickly as possible, and the only way to do it is to get you to 1,000 subscribers as quick as we can. So if you know somebody be interested, let's get them out. Let's get them to subscribe. That'd be great.
Man. Thanks for the info about that, man. I heard a little bit about it, but I did not know that until you just told me the details there, man. I do appreciate it. And, I also appreciate you coming, hanging with me, man, because I always have a great time talking to you, and we need to do it again soon. You pop the topic, and I will jump on it, brother. If you just think of anything you got, or if I think of one, I'll shoot it at you. But
absolutely.
Man, it is always a pleasure, sir. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Same here. Same here.
And everyone, thank you all. By the way, Paulie at Latino Slant, my buddy popped in earlier. Look, I got a couple of friends' YouTube addresses down below my description. If any of you have not followed them yet, please check out their channels and give them subs as well. They're all great people, great new friends just starting out like I am over here. There he is. There's Paulie. All right, man. Paulie, good to see you again, buddy. I didn't even know you'd pop back in, brother. He is the man. I will say, I got to say, I've made so many fantastic new friends. Ooh, Mark already dropped on me. Okay, I guess he had to run. I have made so many great new friends here on this platform, and Paulie, of course, is one of many of them. And he is just a great dude, man. I tell you what, if I the only thing that really matters to me about being on YouTube now is all the great new pals I've made. And Paulie, you are the man. RR, Eastland, and again, all of you. Shellback, another new pal. And so many of them. And speaking of which, as I say goodbye, another fantastic new friend who's just been really, really great to me. The great Loki of Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Of course, also shout out to the Valkyries. They got a great channel there, and Purple Valkyrie is beautiful. She's always been very sweet to me as well. Doomcock has been a great friend of mine as well. We love him. He's fantastic. So I'm having a great time here. And again, thank you all so much. And thank you again, Loki, for this intro outro that I'm using that I really enjoy. Everyone have a great, great night, and I will talk to you soon, my friend.